It's time for the Savvy Realtor podcast. I'm Walter Storholt alongside Angie Cole, the owner and broker in charge of A. Cole Realty, serving you throughout the Triangle, teaching you about the ins and outs when it comes to buying or selling a home. You can find the team online by going to acolerealty.com. That's A-C-O-L-E realty.com, or by calling 919-578-3128. That's 919-578-3128. And now it's time for one of the top realtors in the Triangle, Angie Cole, and the Savvy Realtor podcast. On this part of the program, we're going to cover some of the random little challenges that buyers and sellers face, and I'm curious to see how agents handle these types of problems. And I'm sure you've got good stories about each of these things, Angie. And I think this will really showcase some good problem-solving opportunities for you. So this is kind of a random list, a hodgepodge that I found on the internet of a couple of different things where it's like, how do you solve this issue for a buyer or a seller? All right, so first one, smelly homes. Maybe it's dogs, indoor plants, cooking, a neighbor's scent that wafts over into the seller's space. How do you navigate around a smelly home to make it attractive?
Yeah, that is a tough one, Walter, because, of course, whenever I go on a listing appointment, I want to be, courteous and not hurt my potential seller's feelings. But, of course, I also need to be honest. So if I do notice, a strong smell, maybe it's a dog, maybe the plants like you mentioned, I will bring it up. My thing is to try to figure out the source and how we can overcome that.
There's a lovely wet dog smell going on here, but I'm not sure the listeners will.
That big lab next door. No. So, for example, figuring out the source, maybe with a dog, maybe give the suggestion of, hey, how about, is there a family member nearby that maybe the dog can go stay with while we have your home actively on the market, and try to work off of that and turn it around to where it's positive. Well, then you don't have to worry about every time there's a showing that you have to do something with your dog, right? Because they're already staying with family members.
Or cleaning up the dog hair and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. So, and that's actually kind of a very common. I have actually sellers, without me even asking, they say, you know what, just to make a process easier, we already have it set up where our dog's going to stay with, our mother-in-law or whoever it might be. If it's plants, indoor plants, move them outside. That's a simple fix. If it's strong smells in regards to maybe cooking, hey, let's maybe tone down on this style of cooking.
Right.
So it's not
shrimp head stew.
Yeah, week, right? Or especially before a showing. Like, let's not, go crazy with cooking like collard greens or anything,
That was my dad's specialty, by the way.
Oh, they're good. They're my favorite.
The shrimp head stew.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ugh,
Mom hated
weird.
it. Yes. It was not that great, but it was his favorite thing to cook. And when they were selling their home years and years ago, like, Mom had to put her foot down and be like, no shrimp head stew.
Right, because it clearly will smell up the home like crazy.
That was their thing. I don't.
So just try to overcome it in regards to, okay, what can we change to make it better? Light air freshener. Okay. Do not overpower the home with the air fresheners. You do not know how many times that I've walked into a home that a home's been on the market and showing our buyers, and you open that front door and it hits you in the face.
Sure.
It's, there's a point at what you're overmasking the smell, and it honestly makes it even worse. So that strong vanilla flavor or apple cinnamon flavor that's now disguising this wet dog smell, that's not a good combo. So a light air freshener. One big thing too is steam clean your carpets. A lot of times carpets can really absorb a smell. So go ahead and make sure that you have those steam cleaned as well, and even maybe your furniture too, if you think the smell has kind of been trapped in the home a little bit. And then just air it out, fresh air too.
Do you have a go-to smell? Is your favorite lavender or, some other type? What would be your go-to suggestion?
Yeah, my favorite, honestly, is just like a vanilla flavor.
Okay.
I think it's just kind of a homey, soft smell. And so that's always my go-to.
Do you believe in the trick of baking cookies before a buyer comes to visit the home?
It can work, but just don't burn them. I before, a long time ago, I decided I was going to cook cookies for an open house in the home, and the sellers were completely fine with it. Of course, I, let them go a couple of minutes over, and then there was burnt cookie smell throughout the home.
Oh my gosh.
It became it was a laughing joke, and, when buyers came through, just kind of laughed about it. But yeah, it can be a great, selling feature and make it feel more homey and make people want to stay around. But just be careful not to burn your cookies.
That's pretty funny. Good tips on how to deal with a smelly home. If you have a smelly home and you're kind of like, ooh, I need some help, or you like the guidance that Angie's given here on the show, you can reach out to her by calling or texting 919-538-6477. Angie will help you learn all the ins and the outs when it comes to buying or selling a home here in the area. 919-538-6477. All right, here's another challenge, Angie, and that would be vacant homes. The sellers have already moved out. They took everything with them. It's truly a bare home. Does that make it harder to sell? How do you combat that problem?
Yeah, so it honestly depends on the floor plan. In our area, because we're in such a wonderful market, a lot of times that is not a setback. But if there is an awkward floor plan, for example, maybe the living room is just designed and it would be hard to understand how to stage it or how to, how would we actually live in this home? Mm-hmm. I would suggest maybe we bring in a piece or two of furniture. Renting furniture, though, from like a big warehouse can actually be very expensive. So a lot of times it's not the best route to take. A lot of times just adding a little of like sprinkle to the home can be great, meaning, like a pop of color. Maybe, some fake flowers on just the countertop, maybe a hand towel in the bathrooms or bright colored soap. Just adding a pop of color to just a bare vacant home can really make it feel a little bit more homey and also make the pictures turn out better as well instead of just a blank canvas. So in regards to, a vacant home, is it harder to sell? No, I don't think so at all. And most of the time bringing furniture in is not needed, especially in this market, but just always adding a little bit of color can definitely help.
And not just color, but I guess context, right?
Yeah,
in the bathroom, here's the soap. It just gives you that one familiar item as a buyer to kind of latch your mind onto. That I can see that being effective.
I think it's that homey feel you get to, like, oh, someone kind of could live here. You know, it's just not a bare like box.
Right.
So yeah,
just throw a toaster on the counter and you're good to go.
No, I don't know about the toaster, but maybe maybe a little hand towel or little cooking utensil. Okay.
It does make a lot of sense. Now, what about speaking of the kitchen? Maybe this is getting too detailed, but if you have a home that had the appliances still in there, that's one thing, because then it can still look pretty homey. But if you have a home where maybe the situation was they took the appliances with them, there's no oven, there's no refrigerator, truly vacated home, does that present additional challenges?
Of course. And honestly, that's not something that we typically run into unless it's like a foreclosure and maybe it's just been stripped dry. The reason being because anything that's built in, a dishwasher, the stove, maybe the range hood or the microwave, those are understood to be fixtures and they convey with the home. So I typically don't run into that problem. But if that were the case, it could create some, setback. Reason being because automatically buyers are thinking of additional costs.
Throwing a few more $1,000s onto the purchase price.
Most definitely. And so, I would actually give this suggestion, to the seller, like, hey, let's, go get a low end, stove. Let's go get a, just having those appliances there are very important for sure.
Right. If you can put in the buyer's mind that they're going to need to, at some point, upgrade, that's a lot different than, hey, from scratch, we're going to have to go ahead and immediately buy appliances.
Because people want a home that's ready to move in. Right. So without those appliances, you're going to be eating out every day.
I actually, when I bought my first home, I remember that exactly. There were two homes. One had appliances, one didn't. And it was so much more attractive to the one that already had them because I knew that was just one less thing I had to worry about.
Yep.
And I was just going to say, okay, well, in a couple of years, we'll upgrade these as they break down, because they were old and they weren't the nicest, but it was like, hey, at least they're there and we can cook,
That's very true. And I know I've mentioned this before, but when buyers are walking through a home, they're not trying to fall in love with the home. They typically are trying to eliminate homes from their list to find which one was the best home. So, of course, the one with appliances probably stood out above the one without appliances.
Yeah, the one without has a higher chance of the X getting at it.
Exactly.
Good tips. Again, if you want to get in touch with Angie Cole, you can call or text her at 919-538-6477. That's 919-538-6477. We're talking about some of the random just sort of challenges that pop up when you're trying to buy or sell a home. And here in the Triangle, we're getting great stories from Angie Cole, your local real estate agent to turn to here in the area. Another situation we run into, Angie, is when kids are kind of dominating. You're trying to sell your home, but you've got kids running rampant and throwing toys everywhere. Buyer wants to come by and look at the home. You don't have time to go shoving everything into a closet, or maybe that's all you have time for. How do families with kids try to stage their home and still be able to live in it at the same time? I've got to imagine that's one of the major challenges.
It is, and I see it all the time because, we sell a lot of homes that, are families with children, a lot of little kids too. And of course, they all have a million toys. So my suggestion would be to limit the toy count. Mm-hmm. So, okay, what toys your kids play with most? Let's leave those out. Let's go ahead and pack the rest of them up. Put them into storage. Even storing in boxes in your garage is completely fine, or in the attic. But let's go ahead and, be minimalistic, narrow down the toy count. So then it's not as hard to clean up whenever there's a showing. And whenever there's a showing, I say have a toy chest. Throw everything really quick in a toy chest, or just have a certain place where you kind of hide away the toys. I cannot stand when I see like pictures of homes and there's a room and the whole edge of the room is lined with toys. Like, it just drives me crazy. So find something, a little bit better of a setup. If it is just kind of moving everything to the garage during showings, I would rather the interior be more, minimalistic, more vacant. Another, great tip could be require an hour notice. So, you're not stressed out that, hey, someone's sitting in your driveway, they want to see your home now, and you're running around like a mad person trying to clean up. Yeah. So require an hour notice before showings, so that does give you time to get the home in order for the showings to take place. Because, when your home is showing, or there is a home showing, you have that one chance, right. So you want the home to present itself the best possible. Yeah.
This kind of goes back to the dogs example, but I think whether it's dogs or kids or whatever, this is probably a good story to share. When I was looking for my first home, I remember one of the houses that we went and looked at, the person selling the home had dogs and wanted to follow their real estate agent's advice of, like, you shouldn't be present in the home when the buyer's coming through. You need to clear out. But I guess for whatever reason, couldn't leave the house when we came to look. And because she had her dogs and I guess couldn't take them, or I forget exactly what the situation was. But so what she did is just went in the backyard with the dogs and just was like hanging out in the backyard while we looked at the home. But then
that's so awkward.
We didn't want to go into the backyard. Right. And the backyard was one of the most important selling features of the home to me.
Right.
And so it was already sort of this kind of, okay, well, let's just leave. This feels awkward. When looking back, like, it was a nice home. I probably would have considered it much higher in the list if I'd just been able to kind of enjoy it.
The opportunity, yeah. Right. And that's one of the discussions I have whenever I go on a listing appointment is, we talk about this is the way that showings will work. I tell them, and I make a joke about it, don't be present. It's weird for you, weird for the buyer walking through. Yep. They're not going to buy your home if you're staring them down. I've been on the flip side of it where, I was showing a buyer and I had the seller almost like in my face following us around, and it was just so uncomfortable. Yeah. And the buyers don't feel like they can naturally talk about the home. It's just they will be in and out and they will not buy your home, but for that same reason. And same thing for dog toys, dog food and dog toys, kind of like kid toys. Hide those items. So whenever there's a showing that will take place, just take the dog food and just hide it in the garage, or, just gather up all the toys in the big dog bed and just kind of tuck it away. That's just one of those things too, because if I love animals, but not everyone is a dog person.
Right.
And so if you have this huge dog bed, all these toys, I think people's mindsets can be like, oh, this home smells like dog, if they're not a dog person,
Sure.
So once again, or if they're not a kid person, this home is run down from the kids and all their sticky fingers, whatever it might be. But you just want the future buyer to be able to imagine themselves in the home. So just minimalistic and depersonalizing also means your life in the sense of animals and kids is best when it comes to showing a home.
Yep, it makes a lot of sense. Again, if you are seeking this kind of guidance as you're trying to buy or sell a home here in the Triangle, I'll invite you to get in touch with Angie Cole by calling 919-538-6477. You can also text Angie at that number as well with maybe your question or with a request to talk and have a consultation. 919-538-6477, just to chat about whatever challenges you might be facing, or if you'd like to buy or sell sell a home in the area and need help from an agent, Angie can do that for you. 919-538-6477. Again, your number to call or text 919-538-6477. More coming up on the Savvy Realtor with Angie Cole.
It's time for the mailbag. We want to hear from you.
In Apex, Porter says, how do you determine what to offer on a home? How do you spot negotiating room versus a situation where you should offer asking price? Or maybe, in the case that you just talked about, maybe more in some cases. How do you determine, what to make that offer, especially in today's market?
So, Porter, the first thing that I would look at would be days on the market. So if the home has just hit the market, more than likely you need to make a strong offer being at, asking price or maybe even above. Ask those questions, or your realtor should ask the questions in regards to, is there other offers on the table? Mm-hmm. So if you are the only offer that has been made, normally there's some wiggle room there. But if there's another offer, more than two, typically you might have to go at or above list price. Another thing to focus on would be comparables as well. And so with looking at comparables, your real estate agent should share with you, this is what's going on in this specific location. Mm-hmm. Here are my suggestions as far as a price point. We want you to get the home, but we also want to make sure that you're not overpaying just because of future resale.
Right.
So days on market, and more than likely, the longer a home sits on the market, as far as days on market, probably the less you can offer. I would assume that the seller should be a little bit more motivated to get their home moved and closed and under contract the longer it has sat on the market. So focus on days on market and also comparables when it comes to deciding how to go about negotiating and making your offer.
You've been on the market for 6 months. It's unlikely that you're going to then be competing with 3 other offers in one weekend. So you can come in with that less strong
And
offer.
sometimes it does happen. But that is one thing I often have to explain to my sellers as well, because I had one actually this past week where they've been on the market now for about 14 days. They got an offer and they were almost wanting to be firm on their list price, and I told them, I said, guys, now we have one offer on the table. Normally your first offer that you get is going to be your best offer, so let's strongly try to work this thing out and let's negotiate with these clients, just because the expectation of getting a full price offer when your home's been on the market for 14 days is probably not going to happen.
Right. Yep. That's a great point. More coming up on the Savvy Realtor with Angie Cole.
Let's shine a little light on some of the Triangle's best areas right here on the Neighborhood Spotlight.
Well, this is the part of the show where we feature a great neighborhood here in the Triangle and learn some new things about it, get a great analysis from Angie Cole about the neighborhood, what the homes are selling for in the area, some of the amenities and features and all that good stuff. So, Angie, where are we going this week on the Neighborhood Spotlight?
So we are going to Raleigh, right over near the Briar Creek area. So the neighborhood that is the Neighborhood Spotlight is called Mulberry Park, and it's kind of tucked behind Briar Creek, right off of like ACC Boulevard, that area. So wonderful location in regards to kind of a little bit of privacy. You don't get the drive-by and busy traffic of the Briar Creek area, but you are seriously within 2 minutes of Briar Creek. Of course, there's all the shopping, the restaurants, a movie theater. I mean, you could live in the Briar Creek area and just stay in the Briar Creek area.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which is, then super close to Crabtree Mall, or if you want to go to the airport. So it's just a perfect location, to live. So once again, Mulberry Park, and Mulberry Park consists of all townhomes. So they are 1,600 square feet up to 1,900 square feet. We have both 1 and 2 car garage townhomes. They range in price point from anywhere around $200,000 up to about $250,000, and they were built 2006 to 2012. So the neighborhood is completed. Any of the, turnover or inventory homes that come on the market are resales. But the normal home that hits the market there, they go very, very quick. Average days on the market has been around 25 days. Some of them are going in 3 days, 5 days. But they just, once they hit the market, they are going really quickly.
Yeah.
I mentioned that there's the 1 active home, but there's also 5 that are under contract. So that shows you how quickly that neighborhood is moving and shaking. So just a really nice townhome neighborhood. And once again, the location is spectacular.
Yeah, really good little spot there. And these are nice townhomes. I mean, this is a nice, not only area to be in, but then the actual townhome neighborhood itself is also very nice.
It is, and well kept. And, like I mentioned, that neighborhood is selling very quick. So if you are a seller in Mulberry Park and you're thinking about potentially putting your home on the market and you want to get an idea of the value of your home, or if you're just in the surrounding areas, you can text the word listing to the phone number 555-888 to get an idea of the value of your home. That's always kind of the first step to get started when you're thinking about listing your home, and if now is a good time to sell, which it of course is, especially in Mulberry Park. So once again, if you want to get an idea of the value of your home, just text the word listing to the phone number 555-888.
You've been listening to the Savvy Realtor Podcast. I'm Walter Storholt alongside Angie Cole. She's the owner and broker in charge of A. Cole Realty here in the Triangle. And if you have questions for Angie, we invite you to go online to acolerealty.com. Listen to past podcast episodes on the website, read the blog, and all the great information, including the option to find a home right there on the website. That's acolerealty.com. And you can also call Angie with your questions, 919-578-3128.